And the minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, on Wednesday described himself as a man of character who would resist any attempts to make him resign his membership of the People's Democratic Party, despite the series of crises that are rocking the party currently. Wike, the immediate past governor of Rivers State, has since last year been the focal point of an intra-party squabble triggered by the outcome of PDP's presidential primary election. All attempts at mediation or reconciliation have thus far failed to calm frayed nerves. Well, we are now being joined by the party's Deputy National Publicity Secretary, Ibrahim Abdullahi, to discuss this latest bout of saber-rattling by Wike, as well as the rumored ambition of ex-President Goodluck Jonathan to throw his hat in the ring one more time for 2027. Good day, and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you. It's my privilege being here.
Well, there is no surprise at Wike's tone. What do you make of his declarations, and what are the party willing to do in order to oust him in any legal matter, seeing as he is creating quite an issue till a date?
Well, much of this issue, much of it is dependent on the kind of attention that the media has given it since it began. Like you earlier stated, 1 year down the drain. For us as a party, elections are over, and we are trying to put, sanity, and then having realized what our mistakes were, as we headed towards that election in 2023. And then we have learned sufficient lessons, from even the primaries itself. Even though this present NWC, as presently constituted, was not responsible for the problem, we inherited it more or less because the leadership, as it was then, headed by Ioche Ayu, masterminded much of the problem that this Ambassador Umar Iliad Amagon-led NWC inherited. So yes, almost all of us, except a few persons, were there, but not on the saddle or on the driver's seat, to play the role they are playing now. What anyone watching events within the PDP will confess to you is that we have been able to maintain the party since after the election, albeit all the crises that appear in the open. We've still been able to keep the party united. We've been able to refrain from what we inherited, which was waking up every morning and sanctioning, the members of the party across the 36 states of the Federation. If that trend, which began before the election and was maintained shortly after the election, before Senator Ioche Ayu, the then chairman, lost his seat, if that trend had, continued to the moment that I'm talking to you, I doubt if there would have been a PDP for us to even be talking about. So one thing that is a take-home for this present leadership and NWC, in the face of all the crises, even as amplified by the media, is that we've been able to unite the party, we've been able to keep it together. It is not easy for a political party the size of PDP that every other person is jostling to come into. The party that ruled this country for 16 years on a single-digit inflation, a country that secured debt cancellation, a country that at some point produced 27 governors out of the 36 that we had. Everybody would want to identify with the party. If you are not with the APC, which is ruling, the only other option you have is the PDP. And that is why you find people jostling to be in the PDP. And political party management is the most difficult thing you can imagine because it is all about interest. Everyone wanting to have an interest. If you imagine how difficult it is for someone to manage even their residences, talking about home front, you find that a father is struggling always to keep, the family united, whether the difficulty he faced from the wife or the children or extended members of the family. All of these things are very difficult. And then you can now imagine in a political party the size of PDP. And then when you lose election in the manner that we did in 2015, we lost again in 2017, we lost again in 2019, and then we lost in 2023, no thanks to the rigging machinery of the APC. You are expecting this kind of problem. You should expect it. And it is only PDP that will even defy the odds to keep going in the face of all of these challenges. Don't forget, it's the only political party that has remained floating 25 years after All other political parties, and there were 5 of them at the formation in 1998, have all fizzled out or metamorphosed into something else. They are not still maintaining their name, their texture, their logo, their size, their capacity. And then you look at the faithfulness in the PDP. You look at the determination of the members of the PDP. That is what is bringing all of this uproar. But rest assured, the leadership, as presently constituted, have sufficient capacity to manage this crisis. And the leadership is doing just that. It has all the wherewithal that you can think at its disposal to address the crisis. PDP is an elephant in the house. Is it like that Trojan elephant which will take all the load on it?
All right, Mr. Abdullahi.
And then move forward. So
we've heard what you've said about the faithfulness and determination when it comes to the People's Democratic Party. But can we touch on party discipline? In this case, when we look at Nyesom Wike, we all saw him openly working against the PDP candidates while remaining in the party. So what is the justification for not expelling him in terms of, especially when you consider that this might be sending a different message or a negative message when it comes to party discipline?
Well, discipline is a very important factor in political party management, but it's a relative term depending on how you choose to look at it. The last time we checked, Nyesom Wike, even on your own quoting a while ago, is that Nyesom Wike is saying that he is a bona fide member of the PDP. He is still, reiterating his commitment, his loyalty to the party. And to that extent, we are bound by allowing him to continue to do this until we are able to prove substantially that he is not a member of the party or as presently constituted. We have a committee now in charge of discipline, which has just come on board. All of these expectations will be addressed by that committee. First, there's a committee just 2 days ago, constituted and then led by elder statesman, High Chief Tom Ikimi, former Minister of Foreign Affairs. A very important committee like that, peopled by very distinguished members of this party, former governors, former senators, former whatever, will be expected to have the capacity to assist, the party. We are not claiming to know it all as an NWC. We have not admitted that we are the only ones that can solve the problem. Party management requires involvement of founding members of the party. When we have crises like the ones you are talking about, we can shift it to committees. And that's why we have not just the committee, for discipline. We also have a committee in charge of reconciliation. Therefore, these committees are expected to go down, invite every other person, including Nyesom Wike, to ask and interrogate them over all of these allegations leveled against them. And if justification is found, we will sanction them accordingly. You rest assured. There's not, and I need to be quoted on this, not a single member of this party will be vindicated once they are found to have, associated themselves with anything anti-party. The committees are going to recommend that sanction, and then the NWC would, weigh its sticks appropriately. I can tell you this, but we have this committee just 2 days ago. Although the committee had been in place since 2017 on other issues, it was still able to do a few things before we renewed its mandate, just 2 days ago, to look into the contemporary issues and provide solution towards addressing them amicably. So you take this from me. We are going to certainly deal with anyone, and I need to be quoted, anyone that is eventually found to have done anything anti-party. We will sanction them accordingly, and no sacred cow. Yes.
And with all due respect, we get a lot of individuals from your party who appear on our shows and discuss in the same tone as you just have, that they're assuring us that no stone will be left unturned, this, that, and it has been months, Not being a member of the PDP myself, I'm actually getting a bit frustrated. I can only imagine what the inner caucus within the party themselves are feeling. But with all these words, we're just going to have to wait and see if action follows through, because we do know how reliable committees tend to be, especially if they're prosecuting one of their own or someone that they might have some business dealing with or, close ties with. We'll just see how that moves along. But what is it going to take to get PDP back to its fighting glory? It's a bit shameful for the party right now. About how long do you, in your estimate, think that it'll take to get the PDP back on track? for it to become an actual contender to the APC and the law of the land at this present time?
Yeah, at the risk of sounding immodest, I want you to know that PDP is, like I earlier stated, the only political party that has remained with its founding members and have remained with the name, behind its formation, which is People's Democratic Party. Now, it is going to have a mechanism which it has deployed in place in addressing all of this quagmire. We appreciate that we have trouble, and we are addressing these troubles in the best way possible. One of it is this committee, like you also agree, is going to have the capacity to address it. Some of the challenges that we have contended with, as it were challenges emanating from the primaries, in 2023. It is expected to come, like I earlier stated. It is expected in every political party. The development of a political party is the most Herculean task. But what is even more Herculean is when you don't have the mechanism in-house to be able to address the problems, which we seem to have in this case. We have accepted no NWC has suffered the kind of bashing this present NWC has suffered. But in yielding to the demands of the people, and that is what makes us democratic, we have now constituted these committees and allowed them, to be able to aggregate the views of the larger house, meaning the members of the party, extended members of the party. Wherever there are misgivings, table them now before these committees, so that at the end of it, the committee will have a recommendation to the NWC, and the NEC, the National Executive Committee of the party, will now convene, and then a decision will be taken in line with the recommendation of these committees. And these are not the only committees. There's a committee for constitutional review, headed by the former governor of Akwa Ibom, Udom Emmanuel. So all of these things are the only things you can find in a democratic party with the clout of PDP. It's only PDP who looks into its problem, appreciate the problem, x-ray the problems, provide solution in-house with a view to winning election, which clearly will be the situation in 2027. Because we have come to appreciate that Nigerians have enormous confidence in us, and they have demonstrated that they cannot go any further with these people who seem to have brought hardship, uncertainty, cluelessness, and ineptitude, and despondency in the land.
All right, Mr. Abdullahi, speaking of 2027, of course, we know there's talk about Goodluck Jonathan potentially running at that time. How would this impact the party's zoning arrangements? That's what I'd like you to address, as well as challenges that it might pose when it comes to PDP's unity.
Well, as a political party and as Democrats, we are not concerned more in zoning as much as the winning of the election. It gets to a level, I have argued in this studio severally, that it gets to a level where a serious political party will look at its chances of winning election, which is the most important thing behind every political party. It's formed for the purpose of winning election and taking control of government and providing leadership. Therefore, if we weigh our chances as brighter with Goodluck Jonathan on the ballot, certainly we will go his way. He is one of us. He still remains the one person who has accepted that he has lost election, conceded even before counting was over, called the victor, congratulated him, and sought his involvement in the transition to hand him over power in 2015. That is the only thing you find in PDP. You can imagine the election that followed in 2019, how desperate it was, how election was said to have been concluded before even going to the poll. People usurped, the powers of INEC, coming all out with arrogance and saying that they have won election. Nothing is either you come with them or you have lost it. It was repeated in 2023, So all of this loss of hope and confidence will be addressed by a person who was there before, if Goodluck Jonathan is so favored to take it. And I think I'm one of those persons who believe that he is truly deserving an opportunity again, because he has demonstrated that he's a capable and a very, very serious Democrat who appreciates, the significance of managing a democracy like Nigeria with its heterogeneous and a very complex tendency. He's one person who has appreciated, who has not shown narrow-mindedness in managing national affairs. So he seemed to have the clout. He is today being looked around in Nigeria by even the opposition, other opposition parties, including the ruling party. They are saying that if this is what it means, to have a democracy, then we've wronged PDP and we have wronged Goodluck Jonathan in particular, for calling him names, and then we've not been able to address the problem after blackmailing him out of power in 2015. You will remember that the only security challenge that was deployed seriously against Goodluck Jonathan and the PDP then was the Boko Haram, which was at the fringes of Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa. But today, we have all fronts of security: banditry, farmers-herders clashes, the same Boko Haram, kidnappers. We've not even been able to appreciate the names now that are being used to describe all these monstrous security challenges that the country has been grappling with. For only 2 days back, or yesterday precisely, a very notable traditional ruler was killed after they apprehended him for 2 weeks, and they were seeking for ransom.
It was quite a tragedy to hear those reports. We would like to thank you for joining us this afternoon, Ibrahim Abdullahi, Deputy National Secretary for the PDP. Thank you for joining us this afternoon and for this conversation.